Good morning. I wanted to get on here and discuss a little bit about bits and the different types. I keep seeing a lot of misinformation, surprise, surprise, on the internet. So I thought maybe I could help clear a few things up. Disclaimer in advance, I'm sick, so I apologize. You're going to have to deal with some sniffling. And my little buddy here is awake, and he's enjoying playing with these bits. So if I have to pause a few times, that's why I'll be cutting it in and out. I don't know how to edit. I don't have any editing equipment at all, but we may have to pause a few times to help deal with little man. So before I show you some bits, I wanted to give you an update. If you've been following on the bridle that I have been, the noseband specifically that I've been creating. So I went ahead and got my Pirelli bridle. I'm not affiliated with Pirelli in any way. I'm not even a member, but you can see the little logo here. This is the Pirelli cradle bridle. I'll show you the bit that came with it. But I wanted to try my noseband on this bridle because it has this support string designed to support the noseband on the combination bit that came with it. My brow band's a little bit loose, so when it's on her face and it rests here, it just is enough to prevent that noseband from, for instance, tipping down too low or getting anywhere near her nostrils or her nasal bone. So we're going to try that. I've had it on her this morning just to see how it fit. There's my new, I'm going to keep calling this the innovative chin strap that has no buckles but is still adjustable, and so I thought it looked great on her this morning. I'm excited to try riding in it and see how that works out. So I will start with the bit I bought for my horse, which is the egg butt with a French link. So in case you don't know bit terminology, I'll call it anatomy sometimes. The cheek pieces here are what define whether it's a loose ring, a D-ring, or an egg butt. Those are the most common, at least in generalized riding, especially English, that are also full cheek, half cheeks, and all kinds of other cheeks. But this is an egg butt. Personally, I selected this particular bit style for my horse because she's pretty soft and gentle, and I don't want a lot of pressure to control her. Frankly, even this is a little strong for her, which is why I'm looking at using more bitless avenues. But it doesn't pinch the lips. A loose ring where the ring can spin all the way around. May I have one, sir? Like this bit ring here. This is a loose ring. They can pinch their lips in there, and that can be irritating. So I just have never really preferred loose rings. The egg butt's more comfortable in the corners of the mouth. So it's a medium thickness. It's called the Cannon. Medium thickness Cannon. No sharp edges, no twists. It's pretty mild. Now, here's the interesting part. This is a French link, and it's different than a single joint. Again, I'm going to borrow one of these from my son. This is a single joint bit, also an egg butt. Very, very wide cannons, as you can tell. This is called a hollow mouth. It's actually hollow inside. So it's very, very wide, very chubby. Not sure why I even have this bit. I didn't buy it. I get a lot of stuff for free, yard sales and stuff. But this single joint, as I've discussed before, I don't like a single joint because they tend to have this nutcracker action when you engage the reins. And depending on the angle that it's in the horse's mouth, it can either pinch down onto the tongue, or it can even pinch up and dig into the hard palate in the horse's mouth. So I don't like these. There may be some people and some horses that think they're great. Good for you. I have hated them my whole life. So I got a double jointed bit, and I was kind of misled a little bit by a lot of literature, and I'm not quite sure how we got this concept mixed up other than just maybe looking at it. But the design of this bit is labeled to be very mild, right? Because it's supposed to bridge over the tongue. And if you just lay it on your arm, for instance, this is a good way to kind of test a bit. Your arm represents the tongue, and the bars would be down here. So if I lay that bit on my arm and I give it a gentle tug, it feels pretty nice. Really, it doesn't pinch, it doesn't grip my skin too much. If I get to doing this with the cheeks, that will pinch my skin. that can hurt. But if you just leave it very quiet and you gently tug on one rein or the other, it feels pretty mild. It wraps around my arm pretty nicely. But here's the deal. They tell us in books and videos and whatnot that because this bit has this nice flat plate and it lays on the horse's tongue flat when it's not in use, that it must remain that way. But the truth is, if you've ever seen your bridle hanging on your horse's head, it's going to have a nice flat lay when the bit is not in use. But when you pick up a rein, the bit does, it's not a leverage bit, it doesn't have any purchase on the rings to turn it, but just due to the slack nature of it, it's going to rotate ever so slightly. So it'll be more on an angle like this. It'll be more perpendicular to the horse's tongue. Now, if you notice, if you go perpendicular to this flat plate, well, it's very wide in this direction, it's extremely narrow in this direction, and it has a bit of a lumpy, bumpy kind of an edge to it. So it's very, very quiet and gentle on the horse's mouth when it's not in use, but once you engage those reins, it's going to put pressure down into the center of that tongue, which my horse is expressing she's not crazy about that. She shows me that by opening her mouth. And my horse has been ridden, bitted, and not bitted ever since I've had her, and I'm the one who started her under saddle. So there's never been any like seesawing or any rough, terrible riding. I'm not a fantastic rider, but I certainly haven't been terribly abusive on her mouth. But she has expressed that she'll deal with this bit, but it's not her favorite. And when I do pick up even the lightest contact, she'll want to move her tongue away from that pressure. So kind of on that note, here's the Pirelli Myler. It's a combination bit, but they call it the cradle bit. I believe once Pirelli worked with them to design this, they gave it a little bit of a different look and a little bit of a different name. But to my understanding, it looks very similar to the Myler combination bits out there. So it's a combination bit because it's a bit, but it has also a little bit of a hackamore action with this nose band, which does engage, and it has a chin strap, kind of a curb action that does engage. It's a little bit further back from the jaw than the curb groove. Again, a little bit like a hackamore. So this looks a bit barbaric and probably terrifying, but it's actually one of the gentlest bits I've ever used. A lot of horses love it. This port has been designed for, oh no, he's stuck in a bridle. He's wearing a bridle like a backpack. That doesn't work. Anyway, this port has been designed specifically for left brain or more introverted horses, more slow, maybe kind of the lazier style horses. They tend to generically prefer not to have a lot of tongue contact. They don't like a lot of tongue pressure. So Pirelli has designed various levels of, yes, he's got a bit to show me, levels of port to provide more or less tongue contact. And conversely, the more tongue contact you provide with a bit, the less bar contact they're going to feel initially. Now, if you have strong hands and you pull on any bit, it's going to contact everything. I mean, you could cut a tongue in half. But this bit, with very, very light use, is going to bridge a good deal of the pressure off of the tongue and onto the bars. But here's where it gets milder. If you select I'd call this the snaffle setting, where your rein would just pull directly back on the bit, no rotating. That will provide quite a bit of bar pressure. The horse will feel it at the corners of the mouth, the lip, the cheek. But if you use this purchase point down here, which sets it into a curb mode, so when you pull on your rein, it will rotate this part of the bit. Now, if you notice, when you rotate the bit, the noseband, which I'll try to support here, it's a little easier on a horse, the noseband actually gets tugged on a little bit, as well as the chin strap will rise. So you can see all these points are moving at once in unison, very smoothly. So what this does is it redistributes the weight of the bit being activated across the nose, the pole, of course I don't have the bridle on it right now, but the pole, and the curb. So it's not all focused on the mouth. So in this curved slide, it's actually pretty gentle throughout the horse's face and head, and it's less PSI on one spot. So far I've had tremendous luck with this bit on many, many horses that hate bits. I've had several people say they've tried every possible bit, curb bit, snaffle, any cannon, any shape, any size, any diameter, and they hate it. But when you put this one on, I've had such luck because the horse feels instant relief from any extreme pressure anywhere, and because it has this ability to rotate and there's no pinching joints, they find that it's very comfortable the way it lays in the mouth. And when you pick up a rein, especially if you do it correctly with slow hands and release at the slightest try from the horse, watch how this one cannon will turn if you activate just one rein. So if you pick up your right rein and you start to cue for a right bend, a right turn, whatever it is you need to do, and then release, it's instant, but it doesn't affect the whole bit. If you use like a Western curb bit that's fixed, it's all one solid piece, when you activate one rein, the whole entire unit will rotate like this together in unison. But this one you can communicate with one half the mouth at a time, or both sides if you prefer. So I've just had great luck with this. My horse cannot wear it because the bit, and this is important to note with anything ported or jointed, this port is too high for my horse. She has a rather shallow mouth and a low palate. So this port will actually, just at rest, the way it hangs, the weight of the cheeks and everything keep it vertical, and this port actually presses into the roof of her mouth just standing there with no rein contact. So I don't use this on my horse. It does not fit her. What you got, buddy? Can I see that one? No? Okay. So anyway, again, this is a snaffle. It's called a hollow mouth because of how thick and hollow these cannons are. Single jointed. This is way too big for basically any horse I've ever known. What are you talking about? He thinks he knows about bits. He's talking about the kitty cat too. This would probably fit the width of maybe a big warm blood. This is not going to fit on your typical, quarter horse or whatever. It's quite wide. What is that? It's like a 5.5 inch, 6 inch bit. It's huge. So I don't know why I have this, but again, it's just a snaffle action, and because it's so thick, it is going to be quote unquote milder because it's less PSI, less pressure all in one spot. What are you talking about? So again, I like these egg butts because they don't pinch. They don't have the rotating loose ring action, which can catch tender skin in the corner of the mouth. So, egg butt. I don't have any curb bits here other than the Myler combination bit, but I wanted to briefly show you the Bozal. Traditional hackamore, Bozal, I don't know how you say it per your region. Please do not copy my knot. I've never used this. I just kind of wrapped the reins around, hang it in my trailer. I bought this thinking I was going to use it, but I decided once I put it on my horse, I didn't like how rough this rawhide is. They're made of rawhide or wood, typically. Some are plastic, but it's just kind of rough. And you're not supposed to use a bunch of contact or a bunch of, movement in this, because it's big and it's relatively heavy and it has this big knot on here. It gives a fantastic amount of pre-signal. So if I put slack in the reins here and you slowly lift the reins, look how much, oh, now it's starting to tip. Do you see that slight tip? So when you release, it's a huge automatic instant release, which is how horses learn. But you get a ton of pre-signal. So it's very, very gentle, very mild. If you really needed to get a hold of a horse or, get his attention, you could rotate this to the point that these contact points would really dig into the jaw, and you could bump, really get somebody's attention, but I don't feel I need that. Be good in a case of emergency, I suppose, but what I don't like is if it's hanging from the hanger, the headstall here, when you use it, it's going to pivot, pivot, pivot off that point. And I was worried about friction. What's the matter? You went down? Give me a moment. My apologies. So the amount of pivoting this does can cause a lot of friction on the horse's face, in my opinion. I just felt that that was unnecessary for my horse. I do a lot of trail riding. I'll be on her for hours, and I just didn't want to feel like, I know, you found a bit. He's got my Bradoon bit that goes with a double bridle. It's very thin, very thin. Would be quite uncomfortable. That could do some serious damage. I don't know why I have that either. So anyway, I chose not to keep the basal. One of the nice features of it, which you can do this with a rope halter as well, is that it has the reins, but then it also, because it uses a long, they call it like a horseman's rein, it has a long lead rope attached at all times. You can tuck that in your belt or wrap it around your saddle horn. So you've got that for training instances if you need it. You don't have to untie your reins, you just step off and you can circle your horse, and that's really convenient. That's nice. So would be handy, but I just don't feel like it's a good fit for my situation for my horse, which is a shame because it is pretty and it's fun to look at, but just not quite what I wanted to go with. Okay, so finally, my final option on my choice of equipment would be rope halter. This is, again, a Pirelli rope halter. They're standard horse size, nothing special about it. I do ride in this a lot. But I feel like if I'm going to be riding her long distance, long distance, this is what I don't like. If I cue the rein, do you see how the knots move? Let's say I cue her right, cue her left. The knots are going to irritate and rub, and it's just more friction and contact than I need, and it's quite thin, so it gives you a lot of power. Just a moment. So this is a lot of pressure in a narrow area across the nose. It's quite loose. Hi, baby. He wants you all to know he has juice, and he's very happy about it. So you can use this, and this is a fine option, especially if you're riding a loose rein, if you do a neck rein style. But if you're using a direct rein or like an English riding style more so, I prefer the side pull because it's just clearer and easier. Since that knot is underneath of the chin, when you pick up either rein, it's going to have first and foremost a downward motion, which isn't a bad thing. But if your intention is to steer more rather than head down, I would just rather have something that didn't do this slop and slide, flop and wobble, rubbing with these knots across your nose. That just seems a little bit much to me, but that is an option. I will show you in another video how to connect reins to this, how to tie your lead rope correctly. Hi, buddy. And we'll go over some details on how to properly use a rope halter in another video. So thanks for watching.